Everyone, welcome back to Business Studies class. In last video we have seen all the 14 principles of Henry Fayol. As we know that as per our syllabus we will be studying about two management experts, and one is Henry Fayol and second we will be seeing Frederick Winslow Taylor, who has given scientific management principles. Right? So in today's video we will be learning what is the scientific management principles. Frederick Winslow Taylor, he has come out with four important principles, and his principles are called Taylorism. Okay, all the four principles of Frederick Winslow Taylor even called as Taylorism, and he is known as the father of scientific management, as he is also having more than 30 years of working experience in an industry. He has come out with the principles which are purely based on science. Okay. So here are the four principles of Henry Fayol. Sorry, it is Frederick Winslow Taylor, or Taylorism we say. First one is science not rule of thumb, harmony not discard, cooperation not individualism, development of each and every employee to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. So if we just see the titles, headings, scientific management principle, here F.W. Taylor, that is Frederick Winslow Taylor, has tried to see each and everything on the basis of science. Okay, so as you see the first principle, science not a rule of thumb. We know what is science. Science is a systematic body of knowledge. In first chapter we have compared the features of science with the features of management. So I hope you remember that science is a systematic body of knowledge about a particular thing in a systematic manner. Okay, and it is well defined also. And all the scientific rules or principles or the theories are universally accepted, but management principles are not so. Hence there we have concluded that management is a soft science, but it is not a pure science. We said management is a social science but not a pure science. That point you have to remember here. When Taylor says that science not rule of thumb, so he suggests the managers, you know that principles are the guidelines to the managers in order to do their functions in an effective manner. All the 14 principles what we have seen, what Henry Fayol has given, so all those are the guidelines for the managers to do their work in an efficient manner. Similarly, Taylor has given these four principles to the managers as a guidelines. Once the managers follow these guidelines, they can do their work in an absolute efficiency. Alright, so first principle says science not a rule of thumb. So first you try to understand this rule of thumb. It is just like a phrase, a rule of thumb. A rule of thumb, when I say, it is like a dictatorial in nature, dictatorship I can say. See, Taylor says to the manager or guides the managers that you should not follow rule of thumb. Okay, as employees are the greatest assets of an organization, of any industry, you cannot make them mere missions. You cannot make them mere missions, means you should not consider them as missions. You should not feel that yes, I am paying, they are working. No, you should not consider in that way. That if you consider them in that way, it is nothing but a rule of thumb. Okay, but science says first test the things, analyze the things and come out with the solution and then apply that. I'll get you an example. For example, as a business studies lecturer, if I give you a lot of assignment today, okay, continuously I'm giving assignment, I'm not giving you any gap to study. Okay, then someone comes, some students comes and they just tells me that ma'am, we are getting too busy in writing the things, we are not getting time to read. Then if I want to do my work on a scientific basis, I start thinking over that. Yes, if students if they are busy in writing the things, they don't have time to read and understand the things. Just they may copy the things, that's it. They may not understand the things. So by thinking in that way, what I'll say, okay, I'll minimize my assignment. You start studying and you start understanding the things. But if I follow rule of thumb, if I make myself to follow rule of thumb, it says I don't care what is your opinion or what is your position, I don't care. Just I want to make you do what I say. That is what a dictatorship like. I don't consider whether you have lot of time or not. I don't consider, yes, you have other subjects too. I don't consider your time. I don't consider anything. Just I feel that whatever I say you have to do. So this nature we call as a rule of thumb. If a manager practices this rule of thumb, even it can be like trial and error basis. If you just you want to learn the things on the trial and error basis, you don't want to observe, you don't want to experience, you don't want to carry on any experiments on that and then come to a conclusion. No, you don't want to do anything. Just you go on doing the things on trial and error basis. You apply this today and it fails, and tomorrow again you apply this, again it may go wrong, and lastly you may come out with the solution, but you may take a lot of time in that. Lot of energy might be wasted, or lot of resources might be wasted. So rule of thumb says that you should not be like dictator towards your employees, and you may not be like doing the things on trial and error basis. So no, every time Taylor says that a manager should be guided with the science. Means everything he has to observe, he has to experiment, and then he has to come out with the solution. In such a way, the industrial work has to be carried on. Any work, anything you have to carry on in that way, right? So this principle, the first Taylor's principle says that science not rule of thumb. It means each and every manager has to analyze the things first, whether the things what I am giving to a employee is able to do that or not, what time he needs, okay, what materials he needs, everything he has to analyze, and then that work has to be allotted to him. Then it says that you are moving with the science and not with the rule of thumb. If I am following rule of thumb, I'll say I don't know, I don't care whether you have resources or not, you have time or not, you are able to do that or not, I don't mind anything, just I'll say you have to do that, that's it, you have to do. In that cases, what happens, the employee feels that the superior is not at all caring for us. The subordinates feel, the employees feel that the manager does not care for the things. He don't think whether time is there or not, whether resources are available or not, whether that work can be done by me or not. He don't care anything. In such a situation, harmony cannot be maintained. There will not be good relationship between the superior and the subordinate, or it might be between the manager and the workforce. So Taylor says to the manager that a manager should always go with science, not on the basis of rule of thumb. Okay, then comes harmony, not discard. Harmony in the sense peace, discard in the sense moving far from one another. Okay, disconnected. Okay, harmony. So Taylor says that always managers should see that there should be harmony in the organization. It might be harmony between the objectives of organization and individual. It might be harmony between the individuals, that is employees of the organization. Every time we have studied coordination, if you remember. So that coordination says it is a deliberate function by a manager who sees that there should be good relation, good harmony between the two employees of the organization. It is not purely between employees, it also between the objectives of employees and the organization. So Taylor says that every manager should work hard to create harmony in the organization. Okay, it is between the opinions, between the work, and between the objectives of organization and individual employees. So harmony should be followed but not discard. Means always managers should be there to bring the people together, but not making them they should not leave the people move in their own ways. Everyone has to work together. So in such a way the manager has to work. He has to have a principle for himself that he should maintain the harmony. He should not do any activity which discards the people. Alright. Then third says cooperation, not individualism. Cooperation, not individualism. See, in a group, generally group leader will be there who will be leading the group. Okay, and other will be the participants, over team people. So if when a group achieves a success, if the leader, the one who has led the group, if he uses I for everything, that is, I have done this, I have guided my people like this, so I made them to do like this, so that is what I have achieved this. So if he go on using the word I in place of we means together as a team, what happens? Generally the team people who has worked for that team and who made the team to be success will disappoint. Is it clear? They'll get disappointed. When a human being is disappointed, generally his efficiency surely reduces. Only when he is happy, only when he is satisfied with the things, he can do very happily. So when the managers use I, because it's sure that they are the responsible people, they are in the managerial position, that's right. But also a single, with the work or with the efficiency of single person, the organization does not achieve the efficiency. It will be always a teamwork. Okay, I might lead you, but even the others might work for that. Is it clear? Hence, Taylor says that always use we, not I. You might come across some people in your day-to-day life who always boosting themselves. They start praising themselves. So we feel very discomfort with such people. We don't want to be associated with people, because when someone exalts themselves, when someone praises themselves, the others don't feel comfort. Others don't feel to work with them. Okay. So Taylor says always use we, that is W-E, we in place of I. Okay. So I shows that individualism, but we shows cooperation. So Taylor says that always move with we but not I. It means always go with the team and feel that you are one among the team and your success is because of your team members. It's not only the efficiency of you, the manager. Hence, I should be replaced with we. Okay. I means letter I. Okay. Then fourth one is development of each and every employee to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. Here Taylor says that every manager should give sufficient opportunities to the employees for their growth. No manager should restrict the employees' growth. Growth in the sense, it is the growth in the organization, the efficiency growth. Okay. See, for example, if you provide right training to the employees, right motivation to the employees, a right way of cooperation to the employees, their efficiency increases. When their efficiency increases, generally they'll go to the higher position. So when they move to the higher position, generally their status, their position gets changes. In that way, a person moves from the lowest position to the highest position. So here Taylor says that always such opportunities should be given, whether they use it or not, whether by using that they concentrate on increase greatest efficiency or not, it depends upon them. But as a manager, you should never be an hindrance for their growth. Okay, if you feel someone is very active in the group, if someone is very efficient in the group, and you feel that as a manager, if some sort of training is given to them, he can really do magics, wonders. It is your responsibility as a manager to provide him greater training so that he can improve his efficiency and he can reach to the higher positions. So no manager should be an hindrance to the growth of employee. They should not restrict the growth of employees. So how you will be restricting, in the sense, by not providing any motivation, by not providing any training to them, by not providing them any information about the growth and prosperity. So no manager should be with such attitude towards the employees, towards their subordinate. Every manager should think that as if anyone is somewhat efficient, so some more techniques should be taught to him, some more training should be given to him, so that his efficiency can be increased, so that he can reach to the prosperity. It's sure that when his efficiency increases, he will be reaching to the higher levels, higher positions in the organization. Alright, so we have seen in case of Henry Fayol, he has just joined in the general level, okay, but he has reached to the place of MD, that is managing director. So the time might be taken, but he has reached from the bottom to the direct higher level of management. He has reached only because he has such managers upon him. His managers has given him such sort of opportunities what Henry Fayol has used and reached that highest position. So every manager should be with such attitude towards the subordinates. So he should never restrict the growth and prosperity of his subordinates. So these are the principles of F.W. Taylor, that is Frederick Winslow Taylor, right? So just I'll get you once more. science not rule of thumb, in the sense each and every work or each and every employee should be analyzed first and according to the work has to be given. It is not rule of thumb. Rule of thumb, it means not dictatorial in nature and not like trial and error basis. Always analyze whether that employee is able or not, that work can be done within that or not, whether all the materials are available or not. See everything, time is available or not. According to that, you allot the work as a manager. So always see that there should be harmony between the interests, that is objectives, and it might be between the employees. There should not be conflicts. If conflicts arises, generally they move from each other. They'll be apart from each other. That shows discard. So no manager should allow for that. Always he should try to maintain harmony. Then cooperation, not individualism. It says that always use we in place of I. We means togetherness, that is cooperation. I shows individualism. Then development of each and every employee to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. It says that all the employees should be given with opportunities to grow and reach prosperity. But it's not so easy to use all these principles. See, we have seen Henry Fayol principle somewhat easy because they are the general management principles in general. But what Taylor has given, that is purely based on science, and where the manager needs too many tools, techniques in order to apply these principles. So following Taylorism is not so simple. Okay, so to follow this, he needs so many other things, other tools he needs in order to follow these principles. So along with guidelines, he even given, the Taylor has also given some of the tools and techniques, that is how these principles can be followed by a manager, how he can follow these guidelines in order to achieve organizational efficiency. That we have here, that is tools or techniques of scientific management. If a manager follows all these tools, if he uses all these tools and techniques, surely he can go with all the 4 principles what Taylor has proposed. So first one is standardization and simplification of work, method study, time study, motion, or it can be like movement study, fatigue study, functional foremanship, differential piece rate waste system, and last mental revolution. So all these are the 8 techniques or tools in the hands of a manager. If he uses these tools in a right manner, he can follow the guidelines, that is principles given by Taylor. Without having these tools, it becomes difficult for a manager to follow guidelines, that is principle given by Taylor. Okay, so you know tools are very important to repair something, to handle something, right? So once a manager is able to understand these tools and techniques, follow these tools and techniques, then he can easily follow the principles, the Taylorism. Okay, then we'll start with the first one, that is standardization and simplification of work. The first tool is always you should have standards, he says. Taylor says that for all you should have standards. Standards in the sense, that is uniformity in different aspects. For example, the material what you are going to purchase, that should be of same standard, means that it should be of same quality, same quantity, okay, with the same supplier. It may be many times, or the same type of supplier. So it should be standard in the sense uniformity. See what happens, the quality of raw material many times differs. The quality of raw materials differs many times. So if you go on with the different quality of materials in different from the different suppliers in different times, generally your ultimate product will not be having any standard quality, because depending upon the input, your output will be there. I hope you will understand. You are getting. Okay. So one of the tool is first standardize the things. That is what material you have to take, that you first standardize. In the sense, first you fix down that. First you make uniformity in that. Only that quality of raw material you try to purchase. Okay. And then production procedures you standardize. In the sense, first you decide how the production procedure has to be followed, and every time you have to follow the same thing. Is that clear? In that way, the standards has to be set. The uniformity in the actions has to be set. So this is the main tool, because if you have a standard, it is clear for everything to do the things. I'll get you an example of standard. See, I have standard in my class, in the sense I'll make everyone to get the textbook every time. I make everyone to use a particular type of notebook, like it might be king size of 200 pages or 300 pages. Every time that will be standard, that will be uniform. Means to everyone it is same. Okay. So I maintain such things in my class. It means I'm standardizing my class. I don't allow anyone to get some other notebook unless I allow them. Okay. Are you getting that? So I make everyone in the same stage. That is what your standardization in the sense. So such things has to be allowed in an organization, Taylor says, and it is one of the two. And even simplification of work. Work has to be simplified. Work has to be simplified. He just says go with the smart work, not truly hard work. He says smart work. So first simplify the work. Okay. Make the standards, uniformity, maintain uniformity in everything, and then come out with the simplification. That is, simplify the work. Don't make the work hard. How you simplify? Generally divide and do the work simplified. When you divide the work, it will be with small parts, and according to that you allot to the workers, and then they can do the work very fastly and efficiently also. That is what your first tool called standardization and simplification. Then comes method study. Method study is one of the tool which says that define a particular method of doing work to your organization. Method study says define, that is, first I have to maintain a standard in a particular type. In order to maintain a standard or simplify, the second tool I have to use as method study. I have to go with each and every mission, and I have to literally understand about the mission. What type of feed it requires, what amount of time it takes to mix up the materials, how much time it takes to produce the output, everything I should have a information. Is that clear? So that is what your method study is. Knowing about each and every equipment, its procedure of work, what input should be given, how that should be work, everything should be known to the manager. Only when he has standards and when he go with the method study, that when he has a good idea of each and every equipment, what is used in an organization and what feed has to be given and how much time everything is taken by all the missions, he will be having a good idea to whom the work has to be allotted. Which type of machinery should be used for a particular work. He will be having a good idea. So that method study has to be followed in an organization as a tool. Then comes time study. So time taken by everything has to be noted. Time taken by everyone and everything should be noted. Okay. If you have that information, data with you, you can allot the work in a right manner. Is that clear? So time study in the sense, I should know, for example, I allot something to you. So basically I should know what time it takes to a normal candidate to perform that work. How I'll coming to know? I'll analyze that. I'll see that. Okay. So I'll make some experiment and then I'll come to know, yes, even if a minimum experienced person with least efficiency, if he does the work, he can finish this work at a particular time. So that is what your time study. What is the time taken by everything and by every person? Okay. So that information should be there with a manager. So such information he will get through the time study. He should know method study, that is, he should have good information of all the equipments he is having in an organization. Time study, he should know every, he should have data about how the, within what time the work can be completed. Okay. Then comes motion study. Motion study in the sense movement study. So this study is done in order to avoid wasteful movements. So what time it takes to a particular thing to move from one place to another. It might be person or that employees move from one place to another. Equipment moves from one place to another in an organization. So every manager should have good idea of the time taken by each machinery and each person. Okay. In time study we have seen what is the time taken to do the work. In motion study we'll be studying how much time taken by each person and equipment or might be machinery in order to move from one place to another. Right. So example I'll tell you. I have to visit production department. I have to visit production department. And if the production department is too far from the place what I have allotted, I have to move a long distance daily. So that becomes a waste of my energy. Is that clear? And waste of my time also. Alright. So when a manager has a good idea of this motion study, that is movement study, he'll try to arrange me near to that particular department where I have to visit on daily basis in order to avoid the wasteful movements, motion. Alright. See, for example, a particular equipment is used by the two departments in an organization, and those two departments are far from each department. They are in the same factory, same industry, but somewhat far. What happens? The same equipment has to be carried daily from one place to another. So what happens? There might be a chance of accidents. So wastage of resource will happen. So it is a manager, by knowing that movement, and by conducting the movement study, he'll come to know that what material has to be moved from one place to, who has to move from one place to another on daily basis. Then he starts arranging those two things to the nearest place, so that it can be easily moved, so that there is no accidents and no wastage of resources. That is what your motion study, that is, movement should be known. Movement, unless, wasteful movements has to be reduced. So that such a study will help a managers to arrange the things in a right manner and reduce the wastage of time and also energy. Then comes fatigue study. It is also one of the good tool. Fatigue, in the sense, diminution of efficiency, we say, that is, decrease in the efficiency. When a person does the routine work regularly, fatigue arises. It means somewhat like he feel no interest to work. He does the same work on repeated basis, and hence he feels bored with that. He feels he don't have interest in that. So his efficiency reduces. That is what your fatigue is. So when a person continuously does a same work on regular basis, fatigue arises. That is, the feeling of losing interest arises. When such feel arises, generally his efficiency diminishes, that is, decreases. Hence, Taylor says that you should conduct a fatigue study. What is this? Means a particular employee doing a particular work, to what extent the fatigue does not arises. He should have a study on that. He should observe and he should see that, analyze that. Okay. So for example, writing the notes. So one can, if I want to conduct a fatigue study, I can observe to what extent a normal student can go with writing the things when the fatigue arises. So generally it can be of 1 hour. 1 hour continuously if they write, they feel they don't have energy to write, they don't feel interest to write. Then the point of fatigue is 1 hour. After 1 hour fatigue arises, I can declare, and I say that after 1 hour you can take a break of 5 minutes. You get relaxed for 5 to 10 minutes and then come back and do the work. Then you will feel somewhat again, you will regain the energy and your efficiency again continues in the same way. If I don't give that rest period to you, you have to continue that for more than 2 hours. Your fatigue will be high and you will feel loss of efficiency. For starting 1 hour, your handwriting might be very good. After 1 hour, your handwriting is somewhat not good because the fatigue arises. Okay, this is what your fatigue. So such a study has to be conducted by a manager for each and every work, and he has to see at what point fatigue arises to the employee, and then he should suggest the rest period to the employees. It may not, rest period does not mean hours together rest, it might be just intervals of 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, then break, like tea break, like refreshment break. Okay, then they can just come and join the work again and their efficiency continues in the same lane. Such a study has to be used as a tool by a manager in order to follow your Taylorism principles, Taylor principles. If not, science-based principles cannot be followed. Is it clear? Then comes functional foremanship and the last differential P-state waste system and mental revolution. All these three have some more explanation. I'll be getting you that in next class. So first go with all these five tools, very important tools. That is, first you have to standardize the things. That is, you have to set uniformity for all the things in your organization and then simplify the work. And then go with method study, that is, you go with the studying each and equipment tool machineries about your organization, have a good information about that, and then allot the work rightly. And time study, you should know the time taken by everyone and everything. And motion study, that is, you should know the movements of each and everyone in an organization, equipment, material, everything, so that you can avoid the wasteful movements. And even you should know where the fatigue arises and how to break these fatigue levels. So once you have information about all these things, as a manager it becomes easy for you to suggest or to follow Taylorism principles. Alright, so go with the notes. If you have any doubts, that will be clarified in next class. Thank you.